It is 4:30, and so the meeting of the subcommittee for personnel is in session, and I don't know what we do. Yeah, the three of us are here. Chris and Scott can't make it, so we can begin. Okay, you don't have to take notes, we could take our own notes.
Yeah, it's just.
And one of them I added, cause I thought we wanted different, I didn't put them in the same order, cause I did alphabetical.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So, but I think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more important that we just say in our minds, what do we wanna grasp, what information do we wanna get?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of putting these headings, we may change the name of it, we may, if we have a ton of them, we can, we can modify it however we want. But I think we have to have like a working document first in order to like correct it and tweak it. So, I don't know if you guys, did you do, those 6 things, did you put what you wanted in them?
I just went through each one and did the bullet points of what I could remember from last time. And thoughts that I thought would be sort of, subtopics of each of those. But there were 2 that I put a note, for organizational growth. I put, should this go with human resources?
Should this go what?
Should it be combined with number 1, admin and human resources?
I guess I was thinking organizational growth would involve the director's professional development and then more of the strategy planning, kind of long range, short term goals. That's what I was thinking of organizational growth. I did kind of put the physical plant building and ground stuff in with the financial management. I did too for those goals, because I know we sort of discussed those ones going together.
Yeah.
So organizational growth is long term, you're thinking as long term.
Yeah, the sort of the strategy planning.
I think organizational growth is the thing that we have to try to transition on from what we did before to what we did now is, first of all, the first one was very centered on the individual. The director does this, the director does that. But the new way of looking at it is that because she is a town employee and, we work together, she works in our direction, but we don't it's not the same kind of relationship. So we hired her to entrust the library to her. So it's what's happening with the library? So we're looking at the library's growth, everything that needs to be done with the library is gonna reflect on her because she's the keeper of it.
Right.
So it's kind of a different, not specific, and the other thing is, if we do this every year, I think we have to be, it's not necessary to go really, really deep every year.
Right.
Because anything that we come under whatever headings we end up having, you'll have a comment section. And I think short but sweet, a lot of the comments before that we would have were oh, she's really good at this, blah, 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 blah. No, if she's really good at this, it'll be reflected in the numbers or the ranking up here.
Yeah.
So really the comment is more I would like to see more of this. As a trustee, I would like to hear more about this. So it's more a working, we're gonna have her goals, but it's almost what's in the comments will be what are your goals for next year? You know what I mean? Unless there's some glaring issues certain way that we don't wanna get, I think we were too specific and I don't know. I think we have to have a different mindset about it. So I'm hoping that it's not too, the whole thing is not too long.
Yeah, I don't plan on going super long. I'm just thinking about, these are the 5 or 6 headings.
Yeah.
Kind of what are the bullet points we're doing under each one? What things matter to us, should matter to us, and where are we fitting it within these parameters to keep it succinct and only add 5 or 6 numbers and only maybe 3 to 5 bullet points under each of those.
Right.
Roughly. Obviously if we need more, we need more, but I don't think we need that many more because like you said, it can be filled in with comments. But I would like to, if we can cement the 5 or 6 and the bullet points today, that would be.
Yeah. But I was thinking that we'd sort of have the, you know, the headings with the questions, then we'd have sort of comments for each, and then we'd have a separate section for goals.
Yeah, the goal piece is another whole,
Yeah.
that's not really our evaluation because it's gonna be working with her.
Exactly.
And we really had I think we had a decent page on the first evaluation, we just never got to it. So we still haven't done really the goals for this year. But I think that that's something that really was never truly, ironed out in a trustees meeting about goals. It was always like, here are my goals, and that was it. So I think that's gonna be the second piece about it.
I would maybe suggest then under organizational growth, if that's sort of the trajectory of the library itself, maybe change that heading to organizational and professional growth.
That
And
makes
one
sense.
bullet under there
Yeah.
could be, how were last year's goals implemented, not implemented, followed?
Yeah.
Did we see through last year's goals? Where are we on those ones?
Right.
And that could be just a bullet under that.
Well, do you have anything written?
Yeah, I was sort of making some bullet points as well under each of the headings that you have done. I didn't get too much into the administration and HR first one. For HR, it's just kind of thinking, something around staff development, retention, effective management was sort of my 3 bullet points that I've put down there. I hadn't really got into the administration side of things. For the board of trustees relationships, I guess it was sort of around, initiative, being consistent and objective in their decision making, implementing decisions, on a timely basis, just setting a good example for the staff.
Yeah.
Were kind of the things that I was thinking of around there.
So so this is what I did, just because I had the flu and this is my.
Yeah, if you can better.
So, yeah, but I'll have the cough till January, so.
Oh, coughs are horrible.
So, this is what I was thinking, okay, if these are our 6 basic things that we're starting off with, I looked at like all those different wordings and all those different,
Right.
and kind of pulled the things that I said, oh, well, that sounds good to me. So we can try to go through each one, and we can add a delete from here, and then I really want to, because we might not get to it all, but I want to get Chris and Scott to do this and send it.
Yeah.
So that by next meeting, I can have kind of like, this is what we're all thinking, what do we have to do now? You know what I mean? I don't know how else to approach it. So administration, so obviously personnel policies and state regulations have to be implemented. Performance evaluations held and documented, staff development and education is encouraged. Initiatives, researches and prepares policy proposal for board consideration. Recruits and hires people appropriate to available jobs, applies best practices for human resource management, cross-training is utilized to provide optimal service to public, which is something I thought was important because we do talk about how now people are leaving, people don't necessarily stay in a job for 10 years or 20 years. So, and I know she has been doing that for the last couple of years and didn't really even click as to why. Because if someone goes, it's like, well, you're not the only one in the room who knows how to do this.
Yeah.
So, I think that has been, I think that is probably part of why we don't notice when someone leaves, that, there's a gap. So is there anything we think doesn't belong in that? Is there anything we wanna add to it? Cause we can delete at the end more than,
Right, I'm
You know-
cross-referencing it with my bullet points and I feel like that covers everything I had. I had compliance with like laws, policies, et cetera, staff development, internal communications. And then just addresses staff concerns, I'm not sure how that. Probably we don't know, but, well, that we would know that, because if it wasn't happening, we would be hearing from HR.
Yeah.
So as long as we're not hearing from HR, then, so theoretically, concerns are being
cause
addressed.
I know there's many ways that people consider best practices, but that's why I put best practices.
I mean, and I
My
think there's
husband's
enough,
been in human resources for 41 years.
Right.
So now, you hear a lot of the phrases.
I think there's enough specifics in those bullets as well as ambiguity that we can you know, everyone, each of the trustees can still sort of read it on their own and interpret it a little bit on their own.
Good.
Without it being too rigid, so I like that section.
Anything else that you need, that you think we're missing from that?
No, I mean, that seems pretty comprehensive, just, I guess, in terms of the administration, I'm not sure if there's other sort of less HR or admin things that I haven't thought of yet, because I guess this is pretty heavy on the HR side. But yeah, as I said, this was one of the sections that I didn't have as much time to go through yet.
I mean, in my mind, I was thinking administration means how she works with her staff. And human resources to, you know, be cross-checking to make sure everyone's, you know, fair and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I guess, you know, sort of the policy proposals is one that, but yeah, just sort of, I guess, being, and some of it, I guess, is also sort of what I was maybe having on the additional growth about being consistent in, or maybe the relationships piece about like being consistent and objective in decisions.
Yes.
You know, so it all ties together, I think.
And maybe
initiates, put it as that.
initiates researches and prepares policy proposal for board consideration in relation to that. But that also could be under, you know, how board of trustees relationships too.
Yeah.
So administration, she's kind of working with us or answering to us
Yeah.
or, so which is it?
Do you think there should be anything in there that, it's just, I don't know how to say this, maybe it's too objective, like promotes a positive working environment, culture, the culture, you know what I mean, like, is there a happiness factor, I guess?
I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a way to measure that, you know, like everyone, when we come in here, it's not like intense, marine,
Right.
like,
Encourages a positive work atmosphere or something like
yeah,
that.
like promotes a healthy work environment.
Right.
But how do
diversity, inclusion,
how can we
acceptance.
see that?
Yeah.
How can we measure that and how can we see that? That was
Part
my,
of that comes probably from like the feedback from
Right.
patrons, also from staff.
Yeah.
Our own, you know, when we're here and we see things and whatnot. Cause I mean, not everything on this bullet point is something that we're gonna have direct knowledge of from trustee meetings.
I'm sorry, we're just,
Like, not everything on the whole document is something that's going to come directly from trustee meetings, like some of it, you know, like the community services and stuff, that's gonna be part of that, with me putting a score on that is going to be what I know of when I look at the library calendar, when I look at public events, when I know that there's, you know, so it's not necessarily just coming from like the director report.
oh no,
So I think that's-
definitely that's true, but we don't work here, so how do we measure work environment? Like, that gets into,
Yeah.
you know, that's the thing, like, when we come in, I feel like everyone is happy and it seems like that would be, but I've also
Which they
been
are.
here when they worked with other people and I knew that they weren't, but they seemed to.
Right,
So that wasn't the, it's hard to get the staff.
yeah,
I think we definitely want something with the staff, I don't quite know where to put that or how to do it.
yeah.
So I guess does
Because
the
we're not
town
writing
do
it for
any-
Catherine, we're writing it for
Right.
the future.
Yes, does the town do any kind of employee survey, I guess is one question. And when we need D, if they don't do one, is that something that they're looking to implement or can, you know, I know that for the library it was hard, you know, because of a relatively small number of staff. But,
Yeah. Cause I mean, so we're talking about like survey type things, which we know can be difficult to really get any real information from. I think when we brought it up to Catherine before, she said that.
Right.
I mean, do we wanna ask that? Maybe we wanna put that as a goal to, you know, define the culture and the culture of the library and the current because I mean, we have patron satisfaction in here, we have
Right.
community satisfaction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because her primary role would, a big part of her role when we hire the director is managing the library staff.
Right.
So like, there's gotta be some measure of that, I feel like in the evaluation. It's
Yeah,
just, you know, it's not so much like just the staff like you, but like.
Right.
Is the staff overall happy to be here.
Do they feel
Um,
listened to? Do they feel like their ideas matter? You know, there's all of those kind of things
Right,
that a
just
survey can
The culture.
can kind of get at, you know, from an anonymous way, and even if it's small, you know, sort of, as long as it's anonymous, then people usually feel comfortable.
And it may be something that we can't, no news is good news kind of rating where, okay, well, we didn't get any red flags from HR this year, so check. Great, must be a good culture. It may be whether or not that's actually the case, maybe that's just the best we can do if we don't know any better.
Well, maybe,
But I guess we don't have any formalized ways to check in with HR, right?
right,
We don't have any, maybe that should be like a trustee person or something, would be like once a year, we just have a quick sit down with the administrator of HR and check in and be like, anything going on with the library that you've heard that we haven't, that we should be aware of.
but the thing is because of, I mean, my sense is from asking those questions is that, if there is an issue, it's not for public, it's resolved.
Mhm.
How is it resolved? I mean, I guess we could ask how many, have there been challenges and how are they, grievances come and how are they, but do we need to know that if the library is functioning correctly? So one of the things I was thinking is if we somehow put in that some of the things that are they done with staff and trustee involvement? Because like when we talk about if she has a new plan or she has a new, whoever the director is, has a new program that they wanna do, she passes it by us. Are programs like that just completed, are they done in isolation? How does she get information, useful information from the staff? Are they part of the planning process? Cause I always felt like if you joined a committee and it was just like, okay, well, you do this, you do that, no questions, no discussion, no change, from blossoms. Like, that's not fun to do.
Right.
That's not fun to do. So if you're not part of the planning and the saying what direction are we going in, it's not fun to volunteer 2,000 million hours. And it doesn't make you feel valuable. I mean, that's one way we could put that in, I don't know if it's a human resources, I don't even know where it would be. Like organizational
growth.
So like under organizational growth, new programs and services developed in response to community needs with input from staff and trustees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Does that make sense?
I think we should change that to organizational and professional growth,
Yes, I like that, cause I like having, I like to be, the professional development being one of them.
which is a long-term plan for the library, but also long-term plan for the staffing, long-term plan for her, how did they implement the goals from the previous year?
Well, so professional relationships, thought meant, for me, was thinking outside the library.
Right.
Besides what's going on here. Like she has to have a relationship with the town, she has to have the relationship with the, like all the players in town. And other organizations and the friends and,
Yeah.
so I felt that was different than staff.
No, I'm not talking about organizational growth combining it with professional relationships, I'm talking about organizational and professional growth, fully separate from the professional relationship section.
Yeah.
But,
Organizational and professional growth.
right, just changing that line, adding in the words and professional, and making it where we can put in some things about sort of, the reaction or implementation of previous goals. Because if we're doing goals each year, we need somewhere on here that we're measuring how they went the last year.
Right.
So their own professional growth, nothing to do with relationships, just their own growth and then the library's growth, the 5-year plan for the library, where are we on that? Where are we on the 1-year plan?
Right.
What has the director done in their own professional growth of the staff? Well, I guess that's a little more human resources. I don't know, there's something else that I feel like I said 10 minutes ago that was.
So I had
So
for
we have
that
kind
one,
of some of that under administration and human resources. Performance evaluation, staff development, education is encouraged. Do you know what I mean?
so I guess I meant, so for the HR bit, I guess I meant she's doing that for her staff. And then organizational professional growth, for what I had director's own professional development, so she attends, appropriate trainings and conferences, she participates in other professional organizations. So those are a couple of the bullet points I had around that for her professional growth, because I think it's important, that at a director level that they are involved in those kind of organizations and doing that kind of stuff.
But that's strictly professional relationships.
I would
For
say
her.
I would say professional development to me is,
Yeah, I thought that was different than,
Yeah.
professional relationships to me is the relationship with the town, with the Friends, with FinCom, with town council, with Noble. Like, it's
Right.
relationships with other people, not her professional growth is her own personal growth and development.
staying current with trends in the field, that kind of
Right,
stuff.
but yeah, I don't think we wanna do that every year. I think that this all says it. I don't know, I feel like all those things were said, but maybe in the wrong places.
I guess I think for us, we're just separating out what she does for the staff versus what she does for herself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Cause I don't see anywhere in here, like, even though we don't need to look at the 5-year goals every year, again, if we're having them put goals, then there should be
So the
somewhere on
goals
here.
every year.
Right, so there's somewhere on here where we should put how those goals were implemented or not, or whatever, so I feel like that is separate from human resources.
Yes,
Yeah, I think organizational growth is a good place to go, how did she do towards her,
well,
achievement of
maybe we just put we don't have professional relationships. Professional growth is all the things that she would do to be part of Noble.
I don't
feel
think
like
having
it's
professional
kind of-
relationships
yeah.
separately, I do.
I
I think it makes
separate.
sense to have its own section, because I think they're also important to how she functions.
I think board of trustee relationships can go under professional relationships though.
Yeah.
That
Could
can
do,
be
yeah.
combined,
Yeah, that could work.
cause it's one more external group that she, has to.
Right, and the only reason I did that is because we kind of, so really like goals are good with us.
Right.
Goals would be under the board of trustees relationship, forming the goals, how we're doing with the goals, that would be under us, cause that's the people that she forms them with. She should also relay them to her staff.
Yes.
This is the goal for these are our goals for the
I
library.
think, but I think her communicating goals with us is different than just how she is on actually reaching her goals. Like, I feel like one is a internal solely the director thing, and the other is the director and their outreach to other people. So over here is, the Friends and FinCom and the Board of Trustees.
Right,
and
no,
other people.
yeah,
And then here is, okay, but how did the director do with their goals and what professional development did they do? And to me, like, that has nothing to do with, not nothing to do with, but it could be a whole separate category from their relationships with others, like,
yes,
in
No, no,
report
I see
card
what
terms,
you're
like
saying.
plays well with others versus, did well on the term paper.
yeah,
I mean, I had quite a few bullet points under the board of trustee relationships. So that was where I was putting in, displaying initiative, being objective in making decisions, being consistent in how decisions that affect the staff or public. Enthusiastically supporting board decisions, making sure they're implemented, on a timely basis, and then setting a good example for the staff through, professional conduct, principles. So I had a decent number of bullet points under that one specifically, which, we didn't have to keep all of them, we could definitely combine some of them to make it a little bit less,
okay, so why don't we go
I
back
think
to
that's
like
reasonable
doing
as a-
that, but what we were thinking is we wanna add goals somewhere definitely, right? And what was the
Yes.
other one?
I mean, that's the bulk of what I'm thinking.
Was there something else that we wanna add somewhere?
So for your fifth one, right, organizational, so we changed that to organizational and professional growth. So we put in for the second one, new program and services developing response to community needs with input from the staff and trustees, and then adding in the kind of the bullet points around, professional development, conferences, training, and participating in professional organizations.
So, okay, so we'll get to that. So board of trustees, do we want that as a separate,
I have enough,
or
but I
do we
think
wanna
you-
talk about that under
Separate.
organizational growth? Cause I feel like, if you look at organizational growth and professional growth, I think they kind of progress on long-term plan, because we're talking about the library.
Yeah.
Not her specifically. I think we need to get away from her specifically. We wanna see how she runs the building and what the results are. I mean, progress on long-term plan, we can talk about that differently. Developed, new programs developed with, we wanna add with staff and trustee involvement. Libraries responsive to change, knowledge and developments in the fields and trends.
I feel like that's a lot to combine.
What do you mean?
So you're talking about combining organizational growth and professional relationships?
No,
No,
organizational growth and
relations.
professional growth.
Okay,
I think her professional growth is what makes, is one bullet point under how she's forwarding the organization.
Okay. so not including keeping the relationships separate,
Yes,
gotcha.
I mean,
And then board of trustee relationships, do you think should be separate or combine it with professional relationships or combine it with organizational?
well, I think we're rating how the library's doing on the long-term plan,
Yeah,
new programs. And there are probably other things.
Yeah.
I was getting tired.
well,
Some
and
of
we don't
yes.
know what, COVID, we don't know what's gonna happen
No.
in any given year,
Right.
so,
I mean, and that's responsive to changes in the community. I mean, right there, that's
Absolutely.
hopefully never changes again
I
like
guess-
that. But she often weaved very well for that.
Right.
Our library did in general. So,
I mean, I think that the board of trustee relationships is so important,
So-
sort of a foundational thing. I don't think I would want to necessarily
Yeah.
minimize it by trying to combine it with something else. I think it is worth focusing on a
right,
little bit.
so what are we going to, so what do we want from the relationship with the director? We want,
I put, under that one, I put like open to feedback.
Yep.
Communication with trustees. So, obviously we get the director report each month, but like
Yeah.
other emergency type communication, that kind of thing. That's actually all I put in there, because my comment was about if we should move it, so.
yeah.
And I'm super nitpicky, but I feel like if that's its own heading, that should be board of trustees relationship, not relationships.
Yeah,
True. It's relationships with all the individual trustees and the overall relationship with the board.
She gets along with Amy, but she hates Karen.
see, okay, so she's, see, this is where the board of trustee relationship is seen in a lot of other places, like if you look under financial management, prepares budget documents including expenses for trustees. I mean, that is, do you know what I mean? It kind of,
I mean,
do you
that
separate it,
relationship-
so what else are we looking for that isn't anywhere else? Informed on the condition of the organization and all factors, okay, that's just one general. We wanna know that every time. Open to feedback,
Yeah, I mean, just,
response to specific requests from board of trustees. Responsive, like, well, I'd really like to see information on this the next month.
responsive to trustee input, concerns.
Yeah.
Responsive to trustees, yeah. I feel like there's a better word in there somewhere than
To trustees,
requests or input or concerns. Responsive to trustee.
questions and concerns.
Yeah,
And again, I mean, if we get the gist of what we're looking for, we can wordsmith it
And I
later.
think there's going to be some, a little overlap, a little repetition amongst
Yes.
the categories, but I think that's okay. Like, as long as each category sort of has its own, general idea and room for comments, because if I wanna comment on, say funds were mismanaged, and I wanna put a comment about that, even though that's technically also part of board of trustee relationships, because we get the financials, like I'd wanna put that under financials.
yes.
So I feel like it's okay to have a little bit of overlap.
And I did like the example, and I'm sure I stole it from somewhere else, but you know, the director fully and enthusiastically supports board decisions and implements them on a timely basis. Just because I feel like if you got a different director who kind of said, yeah to us in one ear and went off and did their own thing, you want to be able to feed that back to be like, hang on a minute.
Well, and I mean, sometimes they're not, I can't even remember what it was specifically, but like I know at some point in the last 8 years here, there was a time when like Catherine didn't agree with our vote, or maybe we didn't vote the way that she would have liked or something. You know, or that's happened with like, obviously this would go more into the relationships with the friends, but I know that's happened at friends meetings where they put in a request for funds, the friends votes against it. So, yeah, some sort of.
It's like accepting even if it doesn't always go your way.
Yeah.
Essentially is what I would want to see.
Works well with others.
Yeah.
So how about executes
Trustee
decisions in a
decisions.
timely manner, or,
Yeah,
I mean, all,
executes and accepts trustee decisions, or.
Yeah, so I have directed fully and enthusiastically supports all decisions and implements them on a timely basis.
yeah, well, I mean, you want, executes trustees and decisions, I mean, it's a vote, basically.
Right.
So what are we saying, executes trustees, executive
Directives.
directives. Okay, I like that. Okay, anything that, well, let's come back to trustees, if it's nowhere else and we think we need to put more, because that, I think we need to do a little more thinking on. Community and patron services, we kind of combine those. I mean, we can't say seeks feedback by 25, surveys, so seeks
Right.
feedback. So part of the goals is, well, how are you gonna execute that? And I think we have to be thinking of what we want to know or we want to have done that maybe hasn't been done or overlooked when we sit down and do goals. Collections current, overall patron satisfaction, I don't know how she's going to.
I think it's one of those things that kind of goes back to no news is good news. You know, we're either getting a lot of these in the director packets each month, we're getting the feedback of, hey, great job at this, blah, blah, blah. Or we're seeing posts on the community page that are like, the library, I can't believe they did this.
Well, see, that's the thing though, if she's gonna be evaluated on this, one of her goals to see is like, how is she going to communicate that to us? So it's really up to the director to say, well, how am I gonna find that out from the patrons? Not us saying, you should do a survey, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. We need to know that, so what's your mechanism? Maybe we put in, mechanism complete, executes a mechanism for patron satisfaction. Do you know what I mean? Because we wanna know that, it's the same thing with the staff, really.
Yeah.
We're not in charge of telling you how to do it, we just say, this is the information we need,
Yes.
how are you gonna get it to, you need to get it to us.
Right, we want some information.
And if you don't get it to us, then that's a problem with the evaluation. Anything, I feel like there should be something else under community and patron services.
I've got a page running in here to get keys in.
So let me see, I have.
So tell me what else.
Yeah, I have something around communication as well, sort of like how effectively is she using, the website, the newsletter, the social media, marketing effectiveness, was one of my bullet points there, outreach, sort of things like community meetings, farmers markets. I had something about diversity and inclusion in this bullet point as well.
What inclusion?
Diversity and inclusion, so, are they focusing programs at all different, sort of, ages, associated needs, languages, new residents, schools, just.
Along those lines, I would put, and this might be the same thing, I put stays abreast of community dynamics.
Yeah.
/ makeup to keep the library relevant.
Yeah.
So, like we've seen over the last decade with like Wakefield 101, all the younger families moving into town, Wakefield is becoming more diverse, and the library is adding things, you know, they have Spanish speaking story time, whatever. So being aware of, you know, not necessarily going and checking the census every year, but like keeping abreast of, the general makeup of the patrons to make it relevant.
Right, so,
So maybe where it says collections that currently reflect community needs and address, we can say collections and programs. Because I think that sort of collections, programs and outreach would be good.
I feel like yes, let me think. Could that be under organizational growth? Like, because under organizational knowledge of developments and trends in the field, new programs and services developed in response to community needs. I had under organizational growth, but you said a phrase that I liked.
Stays abreast of community dynamics / makeup to
Community
keep the library,
dynamics.
to keep the library relevant, that's what I said.
So maybe we move that up to organizational growth? Or is it covered a little here, a little there?
I feel like that's part of community and patron services. No?
Well,
Yeah,
I think it's kind of how the community, so community and patron services seems to be what's happening now. Organizational growth is what we want to see continuing or to start happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right, because I guess you would see like, oh, this year they introduced a new Asian Creole, program for this, so that's what I would think of in organizational growth. But again, like
I think that's
always
a
a little
patron
of that,
service
right?
though, like
I know,
it's
it's
a
almost
program,
both. It's almost both, it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
a new one, I think that a little bit of overlap is fine, at least for now, while we're still brainstorming. Cause I do think that some of the things will sort of.
I still don't know if we're, like, even looking at all these, I still don't, are we really getting all the answers we want? Because we had a lot of questions about what we didn't have answers to.
Well, I think also, once we have a decent draft of this, presenting it to the trustees as a whole for feedback before it gets finalized. Just
Yeah.
because if anybody else, has any ideas to check in, that I would definitely want to make sure that we have include that feedback.
Well, if we get 5 opinions, we're really the majority anyway.
Right,
So that's why, like, I really strongly want everyone's opinion, that's why I wanted this to be big.
Yeah.
Because if we do all this, we're not talking about it 1,000 million times at a
No,
meeting,
not
let me
a
tell
thousand,
you.
but at least once to be like, hey,
They
this is
have
what
to
we
approve
got,
They have to approve it.
and enough time.
yeah, and not that I don't want 9 opinions, but at the same time, too many cooks in the kitchen kind of,
Yeah.
if we spent all these weeks and meetings drafting something
Yeah.
that we 5 agreed on, then I don't know that we need 4 more inputs.
No,
Right.
I wouldn't want to exclude them from.
No, we're disrespected.
No, they definitely would still have to approve it, but that's why I've looked a lot back on, I've looked on like the thing that we were doing now to see, well, what kind of things were valuable to know from the old one, because it wasn't completely garbage.
Right,
No,
right, I looked at the old
When
one
you,
too,
when you're not really looking at the person, you're trying to look at the overall success of the library. It might be worded different, but the information is still there.
I know, I was
So-
trying to look at the ones that had more of the not applicable that people couldn't answer, it's like, okay, these are
Yeah.
kind of the ones that people struggled with, so that's,
Right.
Well, I think a lot of the struggle was, though, we didn't have clear direction on knowing of like what we were doing. You're supposed to look from the meetings you attended, the meetings you discussed, all the information we had. And so like, I don't think we looked at the big picture. I don't think the majority really looked at the big picture. Maybe they had one or two things like, I really needed that and didn't express it. And that's why like, I think the trustees in general have to be understanding that it's up to you now to start towards this evaluation. If you need to know this, start asking questions, start finding it in there and say, well, how come I'm not seeing this? Because I think, we have very specific ideas of what we wanna know and what's important, so, a lot of this is on us and not on, a single, checklist. So community and patron services, so I still want you, like at the end, to send me anything you think we were missing or that we added. And then I'll try to put it together, but I wanna get the other two members. Cause I think there's more we can say under patron services, I'm kind of like at a roadblock. But we care about money, so let's look at financial management and see what's missing from that, or what's not needed.
I mean, I put, the obvious stays within budget, best practices with gift funds, state aid, et cetera, prudent management. And then I put buildings and grounds under that.
Yes.
Now I'm ready first. Yeah, I think the presents and defense budgets is important, your second bullet point.
Yes, I like that one, I had that one mentioned.
I mean, aware of needs of the library, land facilities, equipment, supplies. For budget, or is that okay to not have for specifically for budget?
I like the theory of that line, there's something about the word, like
Yeah, that's what I
aware of the needs, just does, cause you don't want her to just be aware of the needs, you want
Aware
her
of
to
the
actually
needs,
do something about it,
Aware of the needs,
proactively
So I
planning, planning as
So,
well.
so I had a bullet point on more of a physical plan, but the director has an ongoing facilities and maintenance program that anticipates needs and provides adequate information on the needs of new and or remodeled facilities. So it may be a little wordy, but, basically saying, you're anticipating what's maybe gonna come up and you have a plan.
Right, so plan needs to somehow be that.
Right.
Yeah, we definitely want a shortened but clear.
Yes.
Yeah, so plan needs to somehow work into that.
And then I also had one about ensuring that library technology is kept up to date within the budget. And I was wondering if that kind of falls.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Sure,
understand
yeah,
that.
Oh, library technology. Just because I
just slow down your accent. I don't speak British. Yes,
because I wasn't sure where the technology really fitted in.
it's part of the budget.
Right, and it's
Big part of the
part
budget.
of patron services too, so I was kind of a little undecided of where exactly.
Yeah,
But I think, to me, I think seeing like the digital media lab, that was really cool with the tour that I had. Again, just making, like
I think that's
when
what's
you
important,
check out.
patron services.
Yeah, some of it is, like the new tags, and
Yeah.
books, that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
like the technology that they use to check books in and out, and manage them and process them, just all of that, we're not still on bits of paper in front of books, so
But-
it's future-proofing that idea.
Something like that I would put under patron services, whereas
Okay.
something like technology safety, what am I trying to say? Like firewalls, are we protected? Are we, that's a big thing with Jeff, he's always concerned about. Are we susceptible to,
Absolutely,
and whatnot?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a good one, IT security.
And that might be more kind of buildings and grounds-ish.
well, if it's gonna cost money, do you put under financial?
Well,
Or
the
if you're
buildings and
going
grounds
to-
is under financial anyway. then.
Right, but and so if you are going to, so because that is gonna cost money and always will, do you put under financial, or do you put it under organizational growth, because keeping, ahead of understanding and planning for new, I don't know what you call it,
Right.
IT stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah, but I think it's two separate things. I think there's IT security and then there's IT,
Yeah.
Programming.
The technology.
the purchasing and,
Yeah.
yes, we've got RFID tags and we've got e-readers and Wi-Fi hotspots to rent out. So that's sort of the keeping up to date that's for the patrons. But then there's the IT security. Have we been, we have a major database leak of all our library card information? Have we, whatever, has the library been hacked? And I think that's separate.
Maybe under patron services, put something about that.
Yeah, so I just put my ensures library technology is kept up to date under the patron services. So I've moved that one up, but yeah, I think IT security could definitely come in with, sort of the physical plant, buildings and grounds, financial management.
Yeah.
Seems to fit.
I think IT services is under patron services and IT security is under financial management.
Yeah.
And those two different things.
Okay, right. So IT services,
Right, like the things we give out to the patrons,
and we want
so.
to make sure they're secure, what do we want?
We wanna make sure they're up to date, so
Up
are
to
we, are we relevant to today?
Okay,
If nobody's doing e-readers anymore, why are we still buying more? That
right,
kind of thing.
Right, the playaways, for example, are they still,
And then under financial management, which is the IT security, is the building secure, our database is secure, is our patron information secure, our financial information?
okay,
because they do all sorts of, sort of phishing tests these days, where organizations send out fake phishing emails and, if you get enough of them, if you click on enough of the links, then you get sent to remedial training, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if the town has anything through their IT.
I have no idea.
My
But,
husband's
yeah,
IT,
there's
so I'm more aware of that stuff, thanks to him.
The
But the very good used to do.
we've gotta stop bringing our husbands into this. The town does have an IT director.
Right,
Todd Bowen, right, is he still an IT director?
Okay, so organizational growth. We added, stuff, community needs, is it relevant? Is there anything we want, added in there? Want to judge progress on long-term plan,
What do we call the long-term plan? Barbara comes in and we get the flip charts out and what is the name of that? I'm blanking on.
right there.
Don't we call it something else?
Maybe.
Could've sworn there was like
A word in there?
yeah. Strategic plan,
Strategic.
that's the word I was looking for. So we get progress on our strategic plan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then so new program and services developed in response to community needs.
Yeah.
Would that not be under patron services?
I was thinking those were new, so they're under growth.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's where you reflect back, like, we put in 3 new programs to reflect, change the number.
The new part of that is we wanted to add with staff and trustee and
Yes. Yeah, I think that goes well under organizational growth. And I think there will be a little overlap between the patron services and that one perhaps, but I feel it sort of fits in both.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm happy to leave it in both places. But yeah, and then something about, progress on the strategic plan, but also achievement of, the goals, that have been previously set.
So we can specifically mention goals in this.
Yeah,
if we
I
wanted
think,
to.
right, that's a good place for goals to go. And then the director's own professional development, that she attends conferences and appropriate trainings, and also participates in professional organizations. Like, those are two more of the bullet points I had for that.
Okay, I heard like 3 words.
So one of those bullet points would be how well the previous year's goals were implemented.
Yeah.
So like, it's January 2026, how well did we see January 2026?
Yeah.
Right.
So just execution of goals.
Yes.
Sorry, Susan, I was trying to say that one of them around the director's professional development would be that she attends conferences and trainings that are appropriate to her role, and then another bullet point would be that she participates in relevant professional organizations. Those are my two around the professional growth piece of
So continuous education
Yeah.
and basically is active in continuous education and development.
So professional, what'd you call it?
So the director's own professional development, but she attends conferences and trainings, to promote her own continuous professional development.
Where did the library director go career-wise? What's the next step?
I wonder if you go to the state to like oversee state level memory stuff, maybe? I guess it depends if you
I
like
think
being
it's the
operational or I wonder if there are regions where you like oversee a bunch of libraries for a region maybe. Or maybe a university like that would have a bunch of like departmental libraries that you might oversee. I don't know.
Library of Commerce.
Always a goal for everyone.
But I mean, like, what incentivizes a library director to continue training?
I think it's really just the
education,
keeping up to dateness. So like, what are the current trends that, you should stay on top of, and, are there any changes in the legal environment?
Right.
I mean, certainly for UNHR, that's what I'm always.
So are we conferences, training
And professional organizations.
professional what?
Professional organizations.
Organizations, all in one?
I think it has 2 different bullet points, but 1 or 2 that's.
I mean, she probably does that, I skim over that in the, probably tells us, right?
It's in the director package.
Yeah, she does,
Yeah.
right.
But like theoretically, the next director to come along might decide not to go to any of those meetings.
Right.
So.
No, but that's what I'm saying, I know she does, but I just can't really
Yeah, cause it'll
think
say
of
like,
any of them specifically.
it'll usually say like noble breakfast or, attended, like she goes down to the Cape every so often, there's like a noble thing.
Yeah.
Or state library
Right.
issue, event.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. That was kind of what I was thinking. We want to encourage and make sure that that's happening because, you want the library director to be up on the list.
Do we have anything under financial management for like seeking grants? Seeking additional
I
funding
think I
sources?
had one actually. Other funding sources are explored and applied for as appropriate. And I also had one in there that was reports are accurate, complete and submitted to the Massachusetts Board of Library, MDLC, in a timely manner. And then I had one that was make sound decisions that consider cost benefits based on data and other factors, maximizing purchasing power. So I had a few extra little bits in the financial management that I'll send over to you, Susan.
so financial management applies for appropriate grants? Is that what?
Seeks additional funding sources such as grants or. I mean, usually it's been the assistant director. I feel like Jackie did that more so maybe than the director, but I don't know that, it's something the director could delegate to others or whatever. It's just, especially, as we've talked in the last couple of meetings about coming into possibly more constricted financial times right now, like.
Right.
Are they just working to stay within maybe a smaller budget, or are we seeking alternative funding sources?
Yeah.
Absolutely, no, I think that's important that we have that in there to say, yes, we want you to do that.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be the director doing it. It could-
Right.
I mean, the director oversees it, so
We
like,
don't evaluate the assistant directors.
right, so it's,
Just
are-
managing the
yeah.
staff.
Are
Yeah,
they-
exactly.
are they,
Yes, is the library in general doing this,
Yeah.
whether it's you or
Cause I think I recall that they applied for something and they didn't get it, and that's been a lot of the.
Yeah.
So you have to pay attention more to this, I just.
yeah, I know like Jackie does something, she has to be like PBS grants.
Yeah.
For a while, that were sizable and
Yeah.
did some pretty big programs with them.
Until this year,
She's not here.
well, until this year, well, everything's been this year. Professional relationships, what do we wanna add to that?
I feel like that one's probably just the most straightforward because it's town government, it's FinCom, it's friends, active in the community, so like, and I think under active in the community is where you could fit in sort of the other groups, the chamber, you know, Rotary, whatever, like
Right.
the sort of non-official library groups, like Friends is its own line, I think
And friends in the
FinCom,
government, I think, for the
Yeah.
most, you know, and the government can presumably comes to town meeting, you know, as well as the FinCom, the town council.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that seems
Yeah.
like the more of a straightforward,
yeah, I don't think we need more in that category.
that's, yeah.
So when we look at this, are we missing any information we want and didn't have this year?
You know, we've talked about sort of that potential, I guess, for like a survey, like how culture that's not,
Yeah.
you know, because you can have someone who theoretically is checking all the boxes, the budget's in line, you know, the programs are up to date, whatever, there's a firewall, but still not have a good working culture. Right? So I don't know if that means that we need a staff survey or if that means we just sort of go by our own presumption of how it feels, vibes.
Yeah.
But there's gotta be something in there that's, you know what I mean?
I do, but I don't know how she would measure it, I don't know how we would measure it, I don't know how we would see it. Unless we went right to the staff, and that's definitely not our jurisdiction.
Right.
No, that's more like an anonymous stuff.
Because
that
like I always
is
say that,
perhaps we need
so I was a
to-
teacher, so as a teacher, well, now they have cameras, so it doesn't matter, but you were observed once, twice, maybe a year.
That's what I mean.
Well, the minute somebody walks into the classroom, you're not yourself. The kids are not themselves. They're not really seeing anything normal. Same way with the survey. It's gotta be anonymous.
Yep.
So you can say some really nasty things because you're just really upset that all the pastrami sandwiches were gone during teacher appreciation. Or, you know what I mean? You have your own cross to bear. Or, I don't wanna get, it's fine. It's just really hard to get a true input on that. I mean, I think
Yeah, I'm reading.
that's and I don't know how. I mean, obviously she wants any director is gonna want their staff to, you know, stay here and perform well.
Right.
And, you know, work out problems if, you know, get help if you need. But how do you do that? There's only 25 employees here, which seems like a small amount.
And I guess my thought is
I
like,
felt like there were many more in the halls.
or the pizza thing. Go back to like there's, you know, if there is something brewing that we aren't aware of, I feel like that's the piece on here that would tell us, hey, heads up, there's something brewing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if there's going to be a tidal wave. I'm looking at another completely different career evaluation. And it has a whole section called professional culture. And so the bullet points under that are commitments to high standards, cultural proficiency, ensures the policies and practices enable staff members to interact effectively in a culturally diverse environment, communication, demonstrate strong interpersonal written and verbal communication skills, continuous learning, a shared vision, successfully and continuously engages all stakeholders in the creation of a shared vision in which every person is prepared to succeed, manages conflict, employs strategies for responding to disagreement and dissent, constructively resolving conflict and building consensus throughout the community. So,
But see, the thing that's different is that if you were in a company
Yeah.
that, like my husband's last titles were chief people officer.
Right.
Because it has to be separate. So there's someone to go to if things aren't well. So that would be the department, the person that could see that. The CEO, the CFO wouldn't necessarily see that because they're managing the big picture. So it's up to that subsection where they, it's a cone of trust and confidentiality and stuff, and that's how that's the people that would see what was wrong with the culture and be able to do it. It's not gonna be that top person. That's it's just not.
Mhm.
They're
I mean,
not
I
gonna
guess
get, it's not within their job description, it's really not. And if you did have, it's an individual thing if you wanted to go to that person with the issue, that would be. But if you didn't feel safe going to that person, then you go to HR. And that's when the real problem of culture would be brewing. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's hard, and because that piece of their existence in this job isn't even in this building.
Yeah, I mean, so what I'm reading this from is the DESI, superintendent's rubrics. So it's a very similar position, and then this is the one used by every school committee in the state. So school committees using it and filling it out for the superintendent.
Yeah.
Which is not a different really relationship than what we have here. So
It is though, because a superintendent has many schools. Right? I mean, it's different than when it's 25 people. You're so close here that if you did have issues, would you go to that one person? You would, do you see what I'm saying? It's like
But I don't think that should matter on a formal employment evaluation. Like how many employees, we only have 25 employees versus 200,
but it's a different
so-
atmosphere, it's a different definition of, boss versus employee. It definitely is. And it's not there's not the human resource is separate. It's a weird dynamic,
Right, then you have the unions as well.
and then the unions are another whole
Yeah.
situation that you deal with teachers, but most
Right.
teachers. I just don't know what to say for that, or how we would be able to evaluate the library through information we were getting from.
Yeah, I'm not
So
sure
far.
how to say it on the evaluation, but I feel like if we don't say it and there is an issue, trustees are gonna put it in the comments anyway. You know what I mean, which is sort of what happened last year, I think, that some of the comments came back on the evaluations, for some of the comments were things that weren't really asked on the evaluation.
Right.
But they came up anyway, and they were several of them were sort of culture based. Because of, whether it was, somebody approached them, I don't know, I wasn't one that made a comment. But I feel like if there's not a set place to put it, then you could leave the door open for. Sure.
But should we put it in, because I don't think it's appropriate. So if you, I mean, I don't know how those comments came about. I just don't see how how we can be a part of it, or if we should. I don't know how
Yeah.
I don't know what we want her to do. I don't know what we want our the director of the library, from now and forever, how we want them to measure that, or how we want them to find that out. And I mean, we can say something about how well, I can't even, like how they do resolve conflict with hair.
Well, yeah, I mean, under human resources, there could be something about, manages conflict resolution or something, not everything I think can necessarily be a measurable goal, I mean, how do maintains cooperative relationship with town government, how are we measuring that? I mean, a lot of these things don't have like a SMART goals.
The outcome,
Okay,
the
so
outcome
does
of-
that not apply to the staff culture? We can measure by the outcome, did the staff.
So what's the outcome? I mean, the outcome, I think that people were concerned about, in my opinion, is that people were leaving for other jobs.
Which, yeah, I don't know.
And if there was a specific conflict that we don't know about, then, if someone did know about it, maybe we should have discussed that as, not reasonably expected by the chair and ask, there's nothing wrong with us saying, there's been whisperings about blah, blah, blah happening. How do you respond to that? Do you see it? What would we do? Or, I don't know do you know what I'm saying?
Right, but that didn't happen, so, we got the evaluations back, there were comments, and you're the only one that saw all the evaluations, so you're the only one who knows, whether those comments came from all from one trustee or from several different ones or whatever.
Yep.
And we never did bring it up. The reaction was, oh, the form is flawed, let's go to the personnel subcommittee and redo the evaluation because it's the problem with the form. And we sort of didn't acknowledge the fact that there were comments that we.
But I think those comments weren't something that we're supposed to be dealing with, is my answer. Is that if it's a personnel issue, we're personnel in a weird definition of personnel. If you have conflicts with your staff, there's confidentiality.
Right, but you just said maybe if there were things that should have been discussed, then maybe we should bring it up with items not reasonably anticipated. But none of that came up.
Right, because I think if there was I don't know if there was a specific issue.
Right.
The whole thing was very vague to me because I don't see that, but I don't know. I'm not here every day. I'm not an employee and I'm not the boss.
Right.
So I don't know how we would see it, is what I'm saying. So if someone said people are feeling mistreated or people are blank, spoke to someone confidentially.
I mean, I
But
guess I'm
how would
looking
that,
at-
you know what I mean? That's,
So I mean, I'm looking at last year's review and there's two comments, that basically say that we should have anonymous staff questionnaires. So
we should what?
there's two comments, sort of in the last year's review that basically says we should implement anonymous staff questionnaires.
Yeah.
So I feel like that probably just should be one of the rules for.
But I think that-
just so that we can, that we can start putting these processes into place, because even if it's small, people, and yes, you take some of it with, you can take the pastrami sandwiches comment with a pinch of salt, but it generally gets the idea, like a pulse, right? And that's what you're looking for, because people, staff might come up to us, one-on-one and say things here or there, but, there's no other good way to do it. So I think it's, an anonymous questionnaire is kind of the least worst way that we can try
Well, I would say
and
we
ascertain
could, I
this
think
information.
for organizational growth, or somewhere in here, could ask that, the trustees want feedback on culture. Or we want feedback on, I don't know exactly what the wording is. I think we do not say we want a survey, because my experience of surveys is very much what, both the director and assistant said, is like they're just not valid. People aren't gonna necessarily tell you the truth or whatever. It's not, they didn't feel, most people do not feel like it's a good way to get feedback. is all I'm saying.
No,
Every,
I'm.
same way with the place I work, they've tried that, and what happens is, you get a disgruntled employer here, employee here and there, and it's not really productive. So what is the productive way of understanding the culture, making sure conflicts are, or resolves conflicts with.
I mean,
Maybe we could put something
maybe
specific.
there's something more low tech, like a suggestion box.
Yeah.
Just anonymous suggestion box, thoughts, comments, but you just want to put into the ether and we get a summary of that. I mean,
So I think we put in something, and I don't know how to word, about, we want we want to know the blank of the library. We want to know the culture,
Right.
I don't know, is the culture we would work, and then let her and in goals say, we want some way to hear about that.
Yeah.
However, if she wants to discuss it with us, or if they want to design something of their own, I think that that's more appropriate. And that we're gonna evaluate you on that. So we wanna hear about, we had a get together and, a bitch
Right.
session or whatever, maybe there's different things that someone tries in a group that's this small. Maybe it is getting together and just like letting loose.
Yeah.
Letting departments talk and come back as a single group, as like, this is our problems, let them do it. I don't wanna lock them into a survey, cause I just don't think it's gonna be helpful long-term to really understand, for her to understand the
Yeah.
culture and for us to make sure that it's good.
I'm thinking of that sort of old traditional like job interview question, tell me about a time you had a conflict with someone and how you resolved it. Like, maybe making it, I don't mind putting it as a goal, kind of in an open-ended, here, you tell us type way on here. And it could be
I think we have a
vague / non-specific.
I think we say we want that evaluated, we want information about the culture. I don't know where we put that or how we word it. But then under goals, or when we talk about it, well, we don't know how to find that out. But we want, how do you wanna find it out? Report it to us.
Yeah.
However you wanna find that out. And if she reports us one way and we feel unsatisfied with that, then we're like, I don't know if that really got information, we want something different.
They must have probably put it the culture under the administration and HR, because I think it probably fits the best, because we're talking about, sort of positive work environment.
Yeah.
Out there, so I think it makes the most sense to be up there.
Creates a safe,
Yeah.
welcoming, positive work environment.
Maintains.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yay.
I like that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that that's when we're talking to her about this, as we'll say, we know that that's difficult to do, but things change all the time. People don't stay at a place 20 years.
Right.
But how do we, measure that it's a positive work environment?
Cause I mean,
And they'll figure it out.
obviously like turnover is a factor, but turnover is explained by many other reasons too, as we've
Right.
seen. So we may get a pulse on it before we're told anything, just because we're like, hey, why did all the children's staff quit, or whatever. But I would like, it would be better if we could be more proactive on that and
Yeah.
preemptively see something coming.
Because a lot of it, I think the culture in the world is different. And I think people don't stay at one place and another. They don't necessarily feel loyal or invested in a single place, which has always been the case, especially in this particular job. So this may be the trend that it's gonna be like that, which is sad. And then maybe there's other things that you have to do to try to stabilize that.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't think it's I think it's a trend that we don't want.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if all of our directors were here for 20 years, you know. I've been going on 10 now, or take. Sharon was 30,
100,
20
it was
plus.
100. She was there 100 years. Oh,
Yeah.
it seemed like 100 years.
So who knows? I mean, who knows?
I mean, you would hope that at least the director level position would have a little longevity with your sort of regular staff librarians.
It probably has to do with the work environment, if they stay too,
Absolutely, but
and we'll see next time.
The trustees relationship.
All the trustees will change. It will be interesting to see when she does leave. Like, we've really, in my experience, we've really not had anyone outside the town or not from within. And there's also a trend to that, is to not wanting,
right,
town administrator.
having some new blood, new ideas. I mean, it's not, it's not a terrible idea if you can find somebody experienced.
Well,
but
it's just every
Yeah,
idea,
right.
every hire like that is risky.
Yeah.
If you have a long-standing tradition of towny, and if that's breaking, which doesn't matter, it's good or bad, leaving, it'll be a big change.
Okay.
Who's up next year?
So,
Are you up next year?
I'm sure, yeah,
So you had,
Jeff.
no, Jeff was just.
Jeff was just,
Jeff and Chris and I just got,
Me and Dan and Scott are the same year.
okay. So this is Laura then.
That must be Laura.
who?
Laura?
And Adam, I think.
Yes,
Are
Adam's there.
you Adam, Laura?
I don't know if I'll do it again. I'll be 70 within the calendar year.
I mean,
Shocking.
our president's like 95.
Which one? Doesn't matter, age is not a factor.
That is true, yeah.
I've been
As long
doing
as
this
you're still
for
interested.
at least 15 years though, so it's a lot.
I mean,
So-
Cindy did it for a long time too, right, Cindy Sheds.
Yeah, she did. She was here when I came. I don't know how long she was here. But most people before this current group, I mean, like, I'm the one that's here the longest. Like, Tim,
Jeff was second after you.
Tim, he probably was here as long as,
Kevin Scanlon was on for
Yeah,
a long
forever.
time. Jeff's been on for a long time.
Reagan was the one, he ran and then he resigned. He resigned before the election, but he was already on the ballot. And so like my first time I was appointed.
I remember that story.
Right, cause wasn't Adam and Laura appointed like mid-cycle too or something?
Adam was not, I don't think, was he? Laura was, I remember.
I felt like there were two that like resigned at the same time, it's
Yeah, Joe Tringali moved. I think
someone else-
that's when we got Laura.
That's what you told me.
Yeah, we did, cause
I think
I
we-
remember reading his resume. And saying, man, he should be a trustee.
Good move.
No, because because of
Absolutely.
the Boys and Girls Club
Yeah.
connection was like a great segment of the population that,
Right.
he's well connected to, so.
And the Mercury.
So if you wanna send me, just under each thing, just as a reminder of what we said, just like a brief
Yeah.
deal.
Mhm.
I'm gonna put kind of this together but I'm not gonna give it to anyone until those other two send me something.
Yeah.
Cause I just want their stuff. The other thing that we can decide as a small group is, so these are all rating systems, obviously. So what kind of rating system do you want? I mean, when you looked at it, it was either one of them had
Always,
Four.
sometimes, never.
there were 4 or there was 5.
Yeah.
It seemed like, outstanding, effective, and down to unacceptable. Or excellent, satisfactory, needs improvement, and unknown. there shouldn't be any unknown. I don't see anything here that's not applicable. But that's, I mean, that was our fault, that you didn't really think about, like, you have to look at these questions from really the information that you were given, whether you were asleep or not, during the trustees meeting and on paper.
So I think once we come up with the questions, and whatever rating system we choose, I think it's worth doing it as an exercise, to actually go through and try and just fill it out and see if by doing that, we're like, oh, actually, how would I answer? I think that will be a useful exercise.
Yeah.
Just before we finalize everything, because I think that will help us,
I feel like reading this current list, I'm leaning more towards always, sometimes, never type answers as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, it still has to be a scale.
Or
Is it
putting
a
it in
scale
variable.
or grading?
Well, like, have you ever done those surveys, Survey Monkey, where it's got, 1 through 10.
Yeah.
But 1 being always, 10 being never.
Yeah. So how many, section things do we want?
I mean, you want to know a number because
I like 5.
five seems like a good number.
With,
Gives you enough.
1 is always and 5 is never,
Right.
and 3 is meh.
Yeah.
Cause you need a meh, and
You
then
do.
or non-applicable or whatever.
Well, on the bell curve,
Right, yeah, we look at mostly 4s and 5s. For
three would be a C.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a C.
No, and I'm one of those people, as much as I hate it when teachers do it, I tend to not give a lot of if it's a 1 to 5 scale, to not give a lot of 5s. I'm more of a
4s.
4, because there's room for improvement. There's, I mean, it's not, or I don't like to be too liberal with the 5s, not everything is perfect all the time, let's back it down a little.
Well, so if it's 1 to 5, then 5 is excellent, outstanding.
Yeah.
No problem. And 3 would be average, like a C,
It's fine.
and 4 would be above average. So we'll go with 5.
That's a good number.
Is there anything else that what time is it?
5:53 would
Look
have been a long
at that,
time.
see, I'm really good at the timing, I never, right?
Absolutely.
You can only think about this stuff in your
Right,
brain so much.
especially after a day of work.
With kids. Being tired. All right, I think it looks good. And I think they lost out by not coming to the meeting.
Maybe 3 worked better than 5.
Well, we still have a quorum, so we could still have the meeting.
That is
Right. When is this was an ad hoc
Yes.
time.
Because I was sick, yes, but it's 2 weeks from today because next week. It was originally supposed to be last week, so every 2 weeks would be next week, and we didn't wanna do that anyway, so it's the 17th.
I've got that on my calendar.
That's in my calendar.
Yeah. And then the last one we have scheduled is December 1st. So they may have to try to be with Thanksgiving, it's tough to do one in there, but we probably could squeeze one more in if we had to.
Right, because the December board meeting is Wednesday the 17th, right? That's what I have on my calendar.
In December, I have no idea.
And it's the
Did we decide that we're not trying to do this as a January live and we're saving it to go live the following year? Or did that not get decided?
We're gonna try to present it in July for approval.
Okay, it's not January.
January,
It's
but we have to have it done by December to present it.
I didn't know if there was the issue with the contract or whatever.
That's no real issue, I mean, she can refuse it at any time. But it was we've already, according to Catherine, we talked about it, we formed this subcommittee to specifically look at that.
Yeah.
So it was all under approval anyway. But even if she had signed any kind of document, she can still refuse it because it's a change.
Oh.
So whether we wanna change, we can make it a very short period of time. because we still don't have goals.
Right.
So we could still keep with the same time, because it went out in January. And then things had to be back by March,
Right.
and we did it before the end of the year.
And we're redoing her contract is up in June.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we can rewrite the contract at that point and put it in, change the contract to say annual
Yeah.
review.
And if she refuses it, then we can do that in June. But I think she wants it. I think she will want it for the last 6 months after the last one, which just had a lot of issues and hard feelings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that would be up to her if she decided not to do it. I don't think it would be any, either way, we need to have it by January.
We wanna formally adjourn?
Yes. All those in favor, you can raise your hand, because everyone's actually busy.
How do we stop the?